Hi guys, welcome to Mountain of God. My name is Camille. Today is 22nd of April 2021. Welcome to video number 2. Today I want to talk about what does it really mean to you and me that we are kids of God. I want to talk about what is then the situation that we find ourselves in if we are kids, and what are the toys that we're going to play with. What can we expect and what we can count on from Dad, from God, when we are kids. You see, I want to start with kind of coming back to what I said yesterday, so it would stay in our heads that you're a kid and we are kids of God, because not because we thought it was a good idea, but that was His premeditated plan to make it this way. That's why Jesus called Him Father. And I would say even more, He called Him Father, not a parent, not a mother, a father, and there's a reason for it. And this is a story of its own, and maybe we're gonna go there, in the next videos somewhere. But I want you to understand that there's a different relationship in between father and a child and a mother and a child. And I would say even more, there's a different relationship in between father and his son and father and his daughter. And obviously, I'm not a daughter, so I can only have an educated guess what does it really mean. But what I can tell you is what is the relationship in between father and a son, at least from my experience. But again, that's something that I want you just to think about it, but then maybe we're going to talk about it later. But today I want to talk about 3 things that you can expect to happen in your relationship with God, being a child, no matter what gender you are. And I love to paint this kind of common sense parallel in between how God kind of being a father, because this is how He thought it's the best way to build relationship with a child and help you grow, and draw that parallel in between Him being a father and being a father in general as a human being. What can you expect to happen in normal and healthy household from a father and parents in general towards a child? So first thing that you can expect, and you basically, it's like a must-have, is the protection. Because how do you expect for parents to deal with the child like a small kid or a toddler? Obviously, they're gonna be there 24/7 just to give this child a feeling of protection, that there's always someone there being with them. And maybe it's not like a protection meaning they're not gonna fight for you, because I hope they won't have to. But in general, it's this feeling of presence, this feeling that there's always someone with me to look out for me. And the story I want to tell you, which basically changed my way of looking at it, is what happened to me directly. When I was 16, I moved to a bigger city, to Warsaw, which is Polish capital city, because I started the high school, the technical high school, which was not present in the town that we were living with my family. So I moved out, and I spent 3 years living with my grandparents in Warsaw. And that was the time when I kind of started really grow, like really spend tons of time, and that was like a real geometric growth for me. That was the time. And somewhere in the midst of all of this, it was like really short after I moved, so I had to be like 16, maybe 17. Something amazing happened out of nowhere. In a corner of my room, I had this deep feeling that there's Jesus standing there. I never saw Him. It wasn't like a vision. I never had a dream. It was just this feeling, this like I was sure that He is there. It wasn't an angel. It wasn't God. It was Jesus. He is a God. You know what I'm saying? But it was interesting because he just being there, standing there, no matter what time or what part of the day I enter my room, He was always there. And interestingly enough, He never said anything. He was just there. And maybe I'm gonna go too far, but it's like having a cat. You walked into the apartment, and he's not running to you like a dog, but the cat is just, looking at you from a corner. And you look at a cat, and there's this mutual understanding that he's observing you, you're observing him, and so you know that he's looking at, he's observing you. The same feeling I had from that experience, and how I read it is that the whole thing is what it not to be my pal, not to have a great time, although we did because I grew like amazingly fast. But he was there to give me this feeling that when I decided to move on, when I decided to like make steps, and I really wanted to know him better, he was there for me. And interestingly enough, I don't really remember how long it took, but as far as I remember, it was like at least 3 months straight when I had this feeling that he is there, and then it dissipated. And then years passed, and basically I found myself, being here and being there. But based on what I experienced so many years ago, today, even when I'm recording this video, I've got this feeling that he is here. And it's not that it's not that I know that I believe. I know that he is here. I can feel him. I can feel his presence. Why? Because this is what I've learned when I was a teenager, basically, that no matter where I am, no matter what I do, no matter what is the time of the day, whenever I am, he's there. That was the lesson. And I know that probably not everyone is experiencing it this way, but maybe I was took to this extreme to tell you to look for it. Because maybe you're not feeling this not because it's not there, but because maybe you don't pay attention to it. I did. Maybe if you will, you'll experience the same thing. Why? Because I've had so many of my friends, at least few of them that I personally observed how they changed when they gave their life to God. And I saw that, one of my friends, we were best friends in high school, when he decided, basically God just met him. That was amazing to see. The stories that he brought, just every day he brought something else. He said like this happened, that happened, I've seen angels. He had some visions, some crazy stuff, even that I didn't have. But amazingly, that was his way. God gave him this feeling that you made a step, and now I'm with you all the time. So the first thing is this feeling of protection, building this environment that you know that you're protected. Second thing that will happen is giving you a special attention. It's exactly what parents would do with their own kid or child, is that especially if they're young toddlers, you're with them 24 hours, not only to protect them, but to help them learn. At first, they have issues with they don't even see, they don't even recognize you. Then they start to move, they start to build their muscles. Then they start to try to sit down. They try to crawl. Then they try to walk. All these things. Then you start teaching them how to talk, how to communicate, all those stuff. All of these things happen just because parents are there. And that's why kids are learning so fast, and the curve is like geometric. Why? Because they have protection and they have environment to grow. And whatever they do beside eating, sleeping, and pooping is to learn how to make progress. And everything is given to them to support them, to give them more than they need so they can do that. And the same thing will happen with your father. The same thing, because he's going to give you wisdom, understanding, knowledge, circumstances, people, everything that you need. And one of my friends had this when he gave his life to God. He basically had this crazy experience that he had some visions and so on. And one day he came and he talked to me, and he said, "Listen, I've got this crazy feeling something's wrong in my apartment." And I told him, "Listen, you're Catholic. You probably have some paintings or some statues of saints or Mary, this kind of stuff." He said, "Yeah." I told him, "Listen, this is what I would suggest to do. Take the card box, just put everything there, and just remove it from your house, from your apartment, at least for a week, and see if that will change." So this is exactly what he did. One Saturday, he just took a cardboard box, and he said that he's going to clean this stuff up, blah, 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 and just put everything into it and just removed it from part and put it in the cellar or something. And he said everything stopped, everything changed right away. So I was amazed that I could be the person that got put on his way, but that's why I saw that he just did stuff and it happened. And then out of nowhere, out of his own kind of change that God, did in him, work with him, he did some crazy stuff, like he rebuilt relationship with his mother, then with his father that left them, so many other stuff. And he was experiencing me being just there, just listening to what's happening in his life, because God took take care of him. If he could use me, awesome. But it was his relationship with God. So he'll give you everything, including moving, going even farther. And sometimes he's just gonna grant you wishes. I had a friend, and she told me that personally. She said, when I was a young Christian, I always wanted to have curly hair. So I started praying about it. And one day I just woke up and I had curly hair. And as far as I know, it's like this until today. Why? I don't know. Maybe it's a part of how God deals with his daughters, because I haven't heard something like this from sons, or although maybe I'm looking at this wrong, from a wrong way. But that's the whole point. He'll give you and build this environment of protection so you would feel that he is there. And then he'll build an environment so you could grow. He'll give you everything and even more so you could grow as fast as you can. And point number 3, which many Christians are kind of missing, is that he gives you a huge margin of error. And I know at least few people, including myself, that we did some crazy stuff when we were kids, spiritually. Something that should blow in our faces. But it never happened. Why? Because God knows that before you're gonna go and preach gospel, on the streets, you have to learn how to walk. That's that simple. That's why I know people who are laying hands on people who've been like demonically possessed, or at least bound to some degree, and they say, nothing happened. And then, well, you see, I told them that it didn't happen because you were protected. Just because you are not mature enough to understand what you're doing. That's why that's God's grace. But you've got to understand that people who are dealing with this and dealing with spiritual warfare, they'll tell you, don't be so fast to lay hands on people, because that's a spiritual warfare. But what kind of understanding about spiritual warfare you can expect from a young child in the spirit? You don't. So that's why you're protected. And that's why you're given huge margin of error, so you can learn as fast as you can without having a negative impact or consequences of your stupidity or your immaturity. That's why you never see a father or a parent who basically bashes and smashes the kid just because they didn't learn to walk yet and they felt again. It makes no sense. So you see, this is what I want you to take from this video. One of the most amazing times that you can spend with your God is to be in this time of being a child. Why? Because he is really good at what he's doing. This is premeditated type of relationship. And what you'll get is a top-notch, like top-shelf parenting. You see, Jesus is called King of Kings and Lord of Lords. And this is how I like to call my dad, that he is Father of fathers. Because there's no one better at this than him. So think about it and do something about it. Because what you don't want to kind of dismiss is time of your childhood. Why? Because as someone really wisely said some time ago, that you will never be a true soldier if you've never been a child first. Like, share, comment. If you didn't like it, comment as well. Give me a shout. What do you think? What is your experience? And if there's anything you want me to talk about, just give me a shout. I'll be glad to do it for you. That being said, see you in the next video.